Hello, Gravitrons. I'm more gravity. Let's play chess. I just finished this game. Game in 3 minutes per side. And as you can see here, I won. You can see that. But I also won after a long string of losses. So I was really glad to get a win finally. I break up a 9-game losing streak. So anyway, this opponent and I had met before, just the very game directly before that. So we'll let this calculate while we go over my win, and if we see anything worth going over in my loss, we'll do that next. But remember, this is the second game, and we will go back to the first game, not the usual route, first before second. Okay, so this game was quick. Let's see. So we're taking a classical stance towards the center, occupy with pawns, attack with minor pieces, and look to gain superior space overall. My opponent is taking what's called a hypermodern approach to the center. It's a fiend shadowed bishop that often leads to King's Indian defense. Fiend shadowed bishop is fancy for g6 bishop g7, or even g3 bishop g2. We could have, from the start, either this is, because I'm going to say b3 bishop b2, and from the start that's a fiend shadowed bishop, but in this is not. It's a little bit offbeat in terms of fiend shadowedness. And then from the start, b6 bishop b7. So you get the idea. It's this structure of very strong pawns that are going to be in front of Black's king. A strong fiend shadowed bishop, very powerful piece that can help you win a lot of battles along this diagonal. But also note that Black has taken a move and then another to make this bishop so very strong. So if White can trade it off for either same colored bishop or either knight, then White is winning a minor piece battle against Black. Most likely. Almost, just not 100%, right? So the structure would go, and I think we followed this. No, so my opponent broke from that. But the structure would go with Black to move, knight f6, and then kingside castle. It's a very strong way to have a safe king real early. You'll probably be giving up a lot in the center as Black here. Then you can attack from the sides. And development usually presents itself. Meaning, if White controls the f6 square, then, well, obviously Black is not going to move his knight to f6. So we might play e6 or even you won't want to play e4, e5 rather. You wouldn't want to play e5. And then the backup square for either knight is right here in front of royalty. The king's knight can move to e7. The queen's knight could move to d7, depending on what squares White has already taken control of. Yeah, that's... we wouldn't want to play... Let's do these moves in here so that we know where we're talking about. You don't want to play e5 as Black. Take a moment, look, see, why would Black usually not play e5 in this structure? 1, 2, 3. 3, 2, 1. And the reason is because he's blocking his own bishop. And this is a strong pawn chain, so this e5 pawn is likely to be there for quite a while. And now this glorious bishop that we took all this pain to get onto g7 would probably be best off in the game moving to h6, which takes another move, and you don't want to do that. Beware of strong central pawn pushes when you are playing King's Indian Defense or King's Indian Attack or any other system that relies on this setup. I was told this setup can also be called the Barska opening, when you just, not forgetting, even omitting d6, going straight for this setup here is called the Barska opening. I read in Play Winning Chess by Yasser Sarawan. I haven't heard it referred to as such anywhere else, so I don't know. Take it with a pinch of salt, I guess. A grain of salt, or some say. Next up, Bishop G4. This is a strong pin. This is best move. Downside, look, I went D4 first, but then we have some moves here, and soon enough, oh gosh, maybe it doesn't quite get time to, but here, after Bishop G4, White can play Bishop F2, and the pin is broken. This, and it seems like what we've forced White to make this sort of slow move or passive move with his bishop from F1 to E2. But this bishop that's actually good for White's light squared bishop in this type of setup. We don't know if the d pawn is going to D3 or D4, and if it goes to D3, then this bishop might as well be on E2, right? So it's a fruitful move. It's a move which makes progress and makes do with what's there. If the pawn goes to D4, then maybe we would have had more options or something if the c pawn moves, or if the bishop would have been useful at D3. But by and large, this is not, Bishop E2 is not a bad move in this type of system that might sometimes become a lot like a Maroczy bind, and is otherwise versions of the English opening. Okay. So anyway, I decided to go a little more directly and quickly to grab the center, and D4 is deemed by Torch 4 to be best move. My opponent plays the excellent move. Knight C6, developing. Now we're back in book, I believe. We kind of break out of book and we got back in book. Hats off that the software at chess.com can sense that it seems like we've made a few moves out of book, but the variations, there's a word for it and it escapes me, but the variations have combined back together in such a way that now we're back in book. So that's pretty cool. I'm glad to see that these moves are like that too. It means accurate chess play, and that's what I like. Yeah, so I warned against E5, right? In these systems, E5, as much as this is book, and I've just took time to say so, I'm okay with this position as White. We push D5, and now, like I said, Black's strongest piece has 1, 2, 3 squares to which it may move. One of which doesn't make sense. Another of which is actually not that bad to trade off dark squared bishops and get the knight into the game. So we understand that. And then bishop F6 is not that bad either. So, okay. But I still think I played a good move with pawn to D5. Light a fire underneath. The knight at C6 is, what are they called? You put horseshoes or hooves. Get him going, get him going, get him going, while also making the center less crumply, less likely to fold or crumble under the under pawn exchanges and attacks. It's a good strong move I made there with D5, and my opponent. My opponent took about 10 seconds to arrive at 97. It's strange. Look, but the knight's being attacked, and B4 loses a knight. A5 loses a knight. So I like that my opponent has recognized that, but for a full knight, you're going to develop your kingside knight. I wouldn't advise it. I might sound a little bit snarky there, but the idea is I really think knight to b8 was called for here, or better yet, knight to e7. Right, knight to e7. Your king side, your knight at g8 will still have knight to f6. And it's one of these games, so first, this is a game in 3 minutes per side, so also accounting for that. And as black in this event with knight e7 and knight f6, you play a passive game and you look for errors. Yeah, so I'm very critical of knight at g to e7. No, yeah. Knight at g to e7. It's the wrong letter. We want knight at c to e7, and then you're holding on to material. You have a strong structure in front of your king. You got king safety coming out the whatever, and maybe you play pawns forward on the queen side and try to gain space. Move the queen in, let her do some sweeping moves across the board, all that kind of stuff. But knight at g to e7 just drops a full piece, right? Or almost a full piece to a pawn. I'm critical of that move. But here, it looks like there was some pretty good queenside pressure, forcing the knight, again, to either one of these undesirable squares. Force the knight to one of these undesirable squares on the back rank where it gets in the way of coordinating rooks and of piece development and all that. So when we kick this knight, he doesn't have all that many places to move. Again, b4 will lose that knight. Knight to b4 and queen a4 captures that knight eventually, or the material gain is there. Same with a5. Knight to d4 would have been okay, and then I'll capture. After recapture, I'll capture, and if recaptures again, then I'll recapture. Then maybe castle's king side, and look, we're talking black has given up a pawn, and now the board's mostly open with queens and rooks available. I think each side might still have a minor piece, but yeah. So knight a5, not the greatest move. Sometimes you would play this, say, well, it's quick time controls blitz. Maybe you won't see it, that kind of thing. I saw it, so queen to a4 check ends the game. That's all. I thought my opponent played a good game, and so that I was glad about that. As for the stream, I'm going to finish this game out against computer, and then I'm gonna be closing down this stream for probably the rest of the day. I might go back on later today. I'm not sure, and that's it. Why I mentioned, so if you're not really keen to watch this game unfold where I'm ahead by a lot, then I won't hold it against you if you want to take a break or something. I don't know. What am I saying here? Now the question is, can I beat maximum with this kind of material lead? Okay, looking pretty bad. Um, Computer wants F3. This might be. Bishop C8 again by the hint, by way of hint. Okay. Kind of wherever the shift was, or this is kind of a close. We need our bishops on eastern. Okay, interesting. Where were we? It led to a complicated endgame, and White definitely won. I don't know if I chose the best route to victory. It was a route to victory. I took 2 hints, and that's how that was. All right. We reviewed both these games. Oh no, we were gonna review the loss. I had said I'll take a look at the loss, and then determine whether or not to really review it all that much. If it's just sloppy play, then there's no point in it. If it's very tactical, then I might not have enough air for it. This sacrifice, this knight f6 was wrong, probably due to some. Well, there's quite a few ways for White to move on. I'd say rather, yeah. And then King captures at f7. The position is mostly equal. A bit of fruit punch here with a mistake, and a miss, a mistake, a miss, a great move. You know, so some of this stuff here from move 6 through move 10 it's kind of like mixing up the board a bit. It's not the greatest source of quality chess play. I calculated this sequence with the queen exchange right, though. That I'll say. I made this. It's good here that I know that if I'm undermining Black's attack, I can resume the initiative. I can reclaim the initiative and capture White's queen on d1, all sort of like in one heap. I'm trading multiple different forces of chess to make the position work. Sort of a crazy game. I'm glad I got my rook in here. Black is doing well. White needs to develop, and this the f-file is a huge source of strength for Black. There's also this knight on g4 is a real rascal. He could get into trouble. It could be the difference in favor of Black. We want to put him probably on f2 to just exchange him out, because some of these his movement is mostly controlled. Knight to b3. I tucked my king in back to d7. I felt this was way more safe than e6. Yeah, in this game I tried to time my opponent out. Here I just start playing. These are just any which way moves. I think I got pretty close, but was timed out myself instead. So that's the way it is. You want to play game in 3 blitz, that's gonna happen. But what do we have? Black missed a mate. Here, White stumbles into a mate in 8. Black missed a mate in 8. What? With 2.2 seconds? Okay. I'm okay with that. There was a forced mate. And Yeah, it's a relatively well played game, given the fact that I both lost and had low accuracy. So once you know that I lost and had low accuracy, aside from that, is that the moves were understandable. I'm gonna let myself off the hook for that. I'm off the hook for this game. And this game I did very well. Okay. We want to check the analysis. Yeah, see, even against finishing out against computer was also well, but remember, I used at least 2 hints. I think I used 3 hints, but I'm sure I used 2 hints. So, not all of this play, not all of this play is mine. Of course, I used the hints after the game had finished, right? When we're playing against practice. We know that. Okay, good. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you, Gravitrons. I'm More Gravity. Have a great night.